mo kwa baba Chroma TV TV new to the channel but more than so subscribe like video no share and leave comment mo amonim said the abatu bia bedru a said the some of companies and also group of people tenase it me ko underground ko ye adwuma ko hu ba bia delegates na say voters na person do voice ko na mo di post ba bontimi ehu die woli didi ene die wo diso ne die worry we na some group of people be at na say company be at na say ama that MPP internal election for the Flagbearership na because so much na say akwa check akwa jeje delegates na dwenche ne de ompese wo lead party ne de omunyina pese oba be je party na omunim se party no one de party no beko into 2024 election no obedi nkunim no omakotena ase akoye sa no maninyina no omotena ase no nipa a omu so leading no nipa wo lead da post nipa wo lead ne Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia na kan Agyapong aba ne omo maka eto so ni omo research na mo ye na mo dwe nipa bi brade nkyere a biye omo de omo kan tim se omo beto ma Bawumia na bi mo so omo nye certain na bi mo so omo so omo nim de omo beto ma na ba omo nyawe ba omo keka ni nyina bom he nipa omo beto ma Bawumia no ene nipa na omo nya nya omo adwen so beto ma obia no so omo say even Bawumia na some small part of the candidate Bawumia can take the lead. But even without them now, money setting or more my someone can. Or more my setting, my command in a day. Bawumia is in the lead. The Uncle Kuti said it was me at the key post.
Research groups that we have currently. Mr. Musa Dankwa, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Now, the latest poll that you've undertaken on the MPP's primary, that is coming on the 4th of November. You say Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is leading. What are the benchmarks that gave him the lead? And by what margin is he going to win or lead in that election?
We asked delegate 2 or 3 simple questions. We asked them whether they approve or disapprove the performance of the president. And in that instance, 79% of them approve of his performance, and 15% disapprove, and 6% did not have opinion. And then we asked them in the upcoming primaries, who would they vote for to elect as a candidate to the MP? You have 43.5% saying they would vote for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and 23.5% said they would vote for Kennedy Agyapong, and 0.4 saying that they would vote for Adaini, and 0.3 would vote for Dr. Afriya Kutu. And you have a whopping 14% telling us that they know who they would vote for, but they won't tell us. And then a further 18.3 saying that they were undecided. So you could see that none of them at the moment is above 50%, which means that the fate of the candidates would lie in the hands of those who are not disclosing their intentions to us and those who said they were undecided.
And so those...
And that together is about 32%.
32.
Big enough to swing the race.
32%. 32% you say?
Yes.
Those undecided and then...
Yeah.
Okay.
And not disclosing delegates.
What is giving him the favor?
So you will see that there's a lot of work to be done. I mean, for those who are not disclosing, I think they know where they are voting and they won't tell us. So those people are out of frame. If there is any hearts or minds to vote, that number will be within the 18% who said they were undecided.
If you listen to the closest person you say will be closer to him in that election on November 4, Kennedy Agyapong and his camp, they impugn all sorts of actions or ill actions that people have been whipped into line within the structure of the party, whether from MPs, from government appointees, etc. Did you in any way try to find out whether that has any influence at all? Zabuza Dagwa?
It's frozen.
Okay. All right. So if you listen to Kennedy Agyapong's camp, and you're saying he will be the second individual. They insinuate all sorts of things that people within the structure of public appointment or the appointment of the party since they came into government have been whipped into line. Did you see any measure of that indicator being true or influencing voters in favor of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia?
I think when it comes to the grassroots, you can't whip anybody to be in line. They are the ordinary members of the party at the very lowest level of the party, about 200,000 of them.
Okay.
You can't whip those in line. But those who are not willing to disclose their voting intention probably fear some repercussions if they do. And we understand from our discussion with some of the delegates, they are more gravitating towards the anti-establishment. So they are more likely to be Kennedy supporters than Bawumia supporters.
Why is Kennedy closing the gap? Because from the last poll, the figures you had brought up in terms of who will be paired against John Mahama, you made those. Why is Kennedy seemingly closing the gap?
I mean, it's all about momentum. I mean, when they went to the superdelegates elections, and he surprised everyone to place second, and his outburst, I think that was the day that his fortune in the race changed dramatically. And he's been on the ascendancy since, even though there was a slight blip when Alan drops. But he's also made a recovery since then, and he's on the ascendancy. And for any pollster, I mean, if you look at the trend curve that we have shown, you can see that even though Dr. Bawumia is leading, his curve is downward trending. And from the time he took the polls to now, if that trend continues, it means he may be slagging a few points below what we said he's got in the last poll. And that should be a worrying thing for him. He must work to maybe stop the slope from going downwards.
But clearly, Dr. Bawumia is in the lead.
He has 20-point lead at the moment, 20 points lead. Just that he's very unfortunate not to be above 50% because of the undisclosed and undecided voters.
But he could still win because those
yes. In fact,
those numbers are here.
If you look at our models, we are saying that you will win.
Because I remember in the Asen North election, we had a lot of undecided voters, and so it swung towards the end.
It swung. Yeah. You know, if you look at where Dr. Bawumia is, 43.5%. It's just about 6.5% shy of the 50% mark.
Okay.
So we believe that he's going to be able to get that and cross above the 50% plus one.
Okay. Let me ask you a last question before you go, because I know you have an appointment with another station. If Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia wins, how is it going to fare nationally in terms of selling his persona and his values in relation to performance in government as vice president to the general populace?
I think your answer lies in the poll we just did in October among Ghanaians. I mean, on the very key issue that matters to Ghanaians at the moment, competence on an economy, I think he's lagging behind John Mahama. And then if you look at who people want to vote for in the 2024 elections, John Mahama is on 48%, Bawumia on 28%, and Alan on 11%.
Wow. That's a very low rate, but we're not there yet, so we'll see how that goes. Thank you very much, Mr. Musa Dankwa, and they've put together the poll. And so I have some key individuals. Kwesi Mensah in the US says, I have a question for the Member of Parliament and the Minister. They can't decide for themselves. But he points out, what about those MPP MPs who wanted the removal of Ken and were called to the Jubilee House and have since been quiet? Well, if you relate it to be under control. Economy is facing a difficulty, and then that will be a key indicator or benchmark for measuring whether Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has performed well.
I am saying that there is no MPP member who has on any platform said that times are not hard. There are no challenges with our economy. We all admit it. But you see, you must also put it into perspective.
Which is what? COVID, Russia, Ukraine.
Tell me, before COVID, tell me any economy around the globe which today is doing better than it was doing before COVID. Tell me what.
What has that got to do with the Ghana economy?
We are in a global economy.
The whole world has collapsed.
Yes, every country.
Which countries have collapsed?
Every country's economy has been affected one way or the other. And I'm telling you,
When was the last
tell
time
me
you
one.
When was the last time you traveled?
You don't need to travel before you know. If on your phone you are seeing a lot of things.
Which country did you travel to the last as a member of parliament?
No, go and Google US economy and you tell Ghanaians what is happening to their economy. You don't need to travel to US. Go and Google Nigeria's economy. You'll be able to tell what is happening in Nigeria's economy.
What has that got to do with us?
I am telling you that we are in a global crisis. When former President Mahama, who is now seeking to be president, between 2014, the last 4 years he was president, between 2012 and 2016, local issues of managing electricity, where did he take us to? That was no global. It was a Ghanaian problem. He couldn't manage it. And Ghana was in serious crisis for 4 years. Companies collapsed. There was doom, so I mean, people suffered. Today, we are in a situation where the whole world, every country in the globe is affected. Every country's economy is affected. Go and check US. Go and check UK. Go and check Nigeria. In one way or the other, every country's economy has gone down. You cannot tell me a single economy in the world which is doing better today than it was doing before COVID. And Ghana is not an exception. Ghana is not an exception. So even though we admit that things are difficult, but the circumstances that led to the difficulty is not something that was out of mismanagement by the government. I mean, I sincerely believe that there were certain decisions that we took that probably we could have done better. But generally, the crisis that we are confronted with is global in nature. And every country's economy is affected. It's not just Ghana. And so when you are discussing it, because of political expediency, you just want to create discontent among Ghanaians so that they can vote for you. There's no problem about that.
So there's a report. But
in 2024,
sir, please.
We are going to compare
in the United States,
President Mahama.
Unlike us, please. You want to ask me a question? Please, let me ask you a question.
But you tell us where they were and where they are today.
The United States.
Yes.
They have a department, unlike us, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the Department of Labor. So they tend to put together jobs that are created. And just last month, they created 170,000 jobs. August, it was 187,000.
As part of the recovery process. Because at a point, jobs had
putting matters in, but you are saying the economy has collapsed.
Yes.
So I'm telling you, I'm putting matters in.
We are recovering. Ghana too is recovering.
Really?
Yes.
How many jobs have we created?
What was the state of our inflation?
Okay, so
5 months ago, what was the rate of inflation?
It's now 38%.
It has gone down, isn't it?
Compared to our
city depreciated to a certain point. Fuel went.
It's going up.
Fuel went as high as about 21 cedis
so you acknowledge
per liter.
that.
But it has come down. So we are recovering, just like America is recovering. But the point I want to make to you, Roland, is that the NDC's presidential candidate, John Mahama, has been president before. Over 4 years as president. We saw his presidency. Vice President Bawumia has not been president. He's been vice president. And you and I know that the power of the president cannot be the same as vice president. In fact,
then he shouldn't be leading the economic management team.
Oh, I mean, you are a member of the. He's the chairperson of the economic management team.
John Mahama was vice president and leading the economic management team. And if you look at the current state of the economy,
let me tell you,
please. If you look at the current state of the economy, and you compare it to a period when John Mahama was vice president, we didn't go for bailouts. We didn't restructure our debt. That's true.
But we went for bailouts.
We went for bailouts when he was president. Yes, but not when he was vice president. Because he
became the ultimate and went for bailouts. Okay.
And even when we went for...
So are we now comparing a vice president to a president?
Sir, when he was even a president and we went to the IMF, the economy did not go to junk status, for which currently we're told that by close of the year, and we're already at close of the year, because really, by this time, we're preparing to read the budgets, right? So the financial year has ended for Ghana. And if you look at what Fitch has already indicated just yesterday, we're going to have a debt rate to GDP ratio, 99%. It clearly means that for all that your GDP is worth, your liabilities or your debts and 99% of that. We're clearly not in